Incredible, a lot of students.
Okay, am I now being heard?
I can hear you.
All right, then I think we can start. Actually, my part is very, very minimal. I'm going to introduce folks. My name is Matthew Downs. I work here at the University in International Affairs. I'm originally from California, but that's irrelevant. Let's get going. I'm told that we're going to try and stay on schedule quite tightly. In fact, one of my roles is to move people along if we need to do that. So we're going to get going. I'm going to work. I'm glad to have Assistant Professor Rachot Champunit to give us a welcoming remark. So we'll start with Dr. Rachot. Yes, Dr. Rachot, please.
Okay. Good evening, Assistant Professor Kamanath Pensupha, Vice President for International Affairs เกษตรศาสตร์ University, distinguished speakers, partner universities, participants. สวัสดีครับ On behalf of เกษตรศาสตร์ University, I extend to all of you a warm welcome. Thank you for joining this forum. Online forums such as this are increasingly important. เกษตรศาสตร์ University has leadership responsibility in the education sector of our country, but we are temporarily unable to meet in person due to the pandemic crisis. Online methods provide an effective, convenient alternative. The university is honored to host this valuable event. This forum provides an excellent opportunity for students and participants to cultivate their awareness of sustainability-related concepts, which are recognized and promoted widely within Thailand and abroad. I believe this event will help students expand their knowledge and understanding of sustainability concepts. I express my gratitude to our distinguished speaker for sharing your perspective, and I would like to thank the organization team for your hard work in setting up this event. I urge all the students and participants to take part actively so that you can gain full advantage of this special opportunity. We look forward to hearing your concerns and your ideas for the future. Thank you again for joining us. See you in next year for the Pechakusha Forum. ขอบคุณครับ Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Rochat. And then now I'll welcome Assistant Professor Kamanath Pensupha to give us an opening remarks. He's Vice President for International Affairs here at Kesetsad University.
Thank you, Professor Matt. Assistant Professor Rachot Champunit, Vice President for Student Affairs and Sustainable Development. Distinguished guest speakers, partner with university, participant, good evening from Bangkok. I'm honored to welcome all of you to the Undergraduate Student Online Forum at เกษตรศาสตร์ University. Despite COVID-19 ongoing difficulty, เกษตรศาสตร์ University has been regularly organizing virtual events to provide opportunity for our students, faculty, and partners to engage in innovative educational programs. This online forum has a theme, what students can do to promote sustainable development goals, with so-called SDGs, and a biocircular green economy, BCG. These are critical issues important to all of us, and this forum provides a platform for distinguished speakers from international institutes that are engaged in sustainability-related initiatives to share their expertise and experiences. We are truly fortunate to have 7 speakers join us from partner university, research institutions, and connected organizations. Your contribution is highly appreciated. I am confident that our students will gain new, valuable insight and will benefit from the exchange of ideas. We look forward to hearing directly from our students at a later date. Thank you for taking the time to join us. สวัสดีครับ
Thank you very much, Dr. Kampana. Our first panel is a diverse group with representatives from universities and from industry and from the United Nations. Each of the panelists will speak for about 15 minutes. I'll introduce you in order, so we'll start first. The focus of this panel is on universities and the Global Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs. Our first speaker, and then we'll go in order. I'll introduce just one at a time, please. Associate Professor Singh Intaracha Trudeau from Faculty of Architecture here at Kasetsad University. Dr. Singh.
Hi, I think it's me, right?
Yep.
I couldn't hear him. I'm so sorry. I'm just guessing. So here it is. Hi, I'm Singh here. I don't know what I'm supposed to do, but I'm happy to be joining the panel and to discuss among the panelists. Should I start my sharing the sessions, or what's the protocol here?
Yes.
Should I start sharing?
Start sharing.
Right.
Yeah.
I'll share my screen. I hope you can see it
Yes.
properly.
Okay.
All right. So I'm happy to be in this forum. It's the first time, and I think when I was invited to speak to the students and to our colleagues here, I'm pretty impressed to be among these esteemed speakers. I think the topic is quite timely and quite a challenge for all of us. What students can do to promote sustainable development goals and BCG economy, circular BCG policy. This panel is quite particularly interesting to focus on university and the promotion of global sustainable development goals. With this in mind, if you want to promote something, promote some issues about sustainability, I'm sure we're all familiar with this diagram. And we see this all the time in the past few years, and people talk about this. And if we want to promote this, well, first thing, we have to understand it. But the most important thing is we have to understand that the underlying objectives of the effort to achieve these 17 goals is to achieve well-being for all, to achieve our own well-being, human well-being, and the support system, the ecology that make our life better so we can live well. I think understand these underlying goals is good, but is it possible? Since I'm the first speaker, I'd like to pose a lot of challenge to all of you, all of us here. Is it possible to achieve all these 17 goals? You know, to achieve our well-being, we want to achieve something to make our life better. And we put up these 17 objectives that we want to do it. But is it possible to achieve all this? That's the first question I want to ask all of you. We have been trying to balance social, environmental, economy for 40 years. And we failed miserably. And now we have 17 of them in more details. Are we moving forward? Can we achieve all these 17 goals? And if you look at the result from COP26 in Glasgow a couple of weeks ago, not very promising, I would say. So what are we doing? When we set up these kind of goals and we put together the best minds and we put leaders around the world together. And obviously, we have huge challenge. And we saw it in the result of COP26 and many COPs before. So what I want to say is it's doubtful. It's highly doubtful. If we want to achieve our well-being through these 17 objectives, are you sure? Are we sure? I think this is a seminar. I think it's forum. So I'd like to challenge all of us to think, how can we do it? And we want to promote it, to understand it. But it how would it lead us? Would it lead us to anywhere? With this in mind, with this kind of doubts, I want to discuss with many of us here today, with the students, the young generations, what else can we do? And you look at this, we have seen this many times. Pagon is requesting to annotate the share content. Okay. If we look at this diagram, we see that the world today, with all these efforts to achieve these 17 goals, you see this diagram. If we live like the Americans, we need 5 worlds like this we have, and we don't have 5, we have 1. If we live like Australians, you need 4. If you want to live like a Russian, you need 3 of the world, or Germany, or Switzerland, you need all about 3. And we don't have all these multiple planets to live on. And imagine all of these big users, all these consumers of the planet, they are advanced countries. They are the most high tech, and they are the leaders in making the world sustainable. So they say. They have all these rules and regulations, World Economic Forum discussion, try to get people to be more green, but they are the most inefficient consumer of the world to live. They overconsume, they consume too much. And now if we average out the whole world, we still need almost 2 planets to live. So how could that be sustainable? Can we, if we achieve them, and if you look at this population growth from, 500 years ago, we were like this. And now look at the trajectory. The world we overconsume at the moment when we cannot even slow down the populations. And you know what? We do not eat 2,000 calories per day anymore. We consume 3,500, 4,000 calories per day. So that means we overconsume, we get fat, and we jog to get thin down, and we waste all those things, all those resources. So I think the direction that we are going, the lifestyle that we are going, is not helpful, it's not helping. And the framework that we are proposing, we are not moving forward that much. So what are we seeing as a group of people who care a lot about the environment here in this forum? And we add 70, 80 million more people every single year. 80 million, that's adding Thailand and more to the world every single year. That's crazy. So that means the consumption is not going to slow down. Does the 17 goals really get us anywhere? If we promote it, can we achieve them? That's the first question. The second question is, if we achieve them, will the world be sustainable? We don't know. Honestly, even if we achieve 17 goals, we still don't know if the world will be sustainable. And if we achieve them, 17 goals, we don't know if it would take too long to achieve, to save the planet. Maybe we need to think differently. And the more population growth is going as faster and faster, you can see in this diagram, population growth comes at the expense of other species. The more people we have, the lesser other species survive. So we're losing biodiversity quickly because we have more people. About food, 50% of the land, habitable land is used for food production, for agriculture. And the agriculture is primary driver for deforestation. And we require more food, by the year 2000. So that means we're going to encroach more land on other species. So that's the food only. And if we look at the water fact, we need more water. Water will be scarce. 700 million people will be displaced by extreme water scarcity in less than 10 years. Half the world's largest city will experience water scarcity. This is the fact, and we still have this problem growing. So I think I want to arouse your thinking or your thoughts about this sustainability and the approach we are moving forward. How can we do it? So look at these 17 goals that we have as a framework. We really don't know if we achieve them and will the world be sustainable, or it will take too long to achieve it. We don't. So the question is, what is the roles of the universities in all of this? In this question, I came to think really hard. What's the role of universities, of students? And we talk a lot about our roles, as research center, as offering courses on sustainability, use campus to show off some of the green strategies, to inspire people, and on and on and on. So the question is, what's our roles as university, the capacity that we can handle? In these 17 goals, the direct things that we can do as universities, one, quality educations, perhaps gender equality, allow both men and women and transgenders to enter the universities, to be responsible consumers, consumptions, and probably help create partnerships to move toward the 17 goals. So is universities or our university have this kind of direct 4 out of 17? Perhaps if we give people educations, we can probably reduce poverty because people have access to better jobs, to have more well-being, perhaps. But that's our roles. Is that enough to move things forward? Big questions, huge questions. What's our role as university towards SDG 17 goals? And we want the student to promote it. What's our roles? How can we help support this? For sure, our time is running out. We don't have 2 planets. We don't have 2 Earths to support current populations and still growing really fast. Our time is short. So the thing is, for me, when I was looking at this, I see that universities need to see their roles differently. Beyond the current SDG framework, we cannot see university within this framework. It's not going to be in time. And we don't know for sure if we achieve it, the world will be sustainable. We just think it will be. But we need to think beyond this kind of framework because it might be too late. With all these efforts in Glasgow that we just saw, it may be too late. It's just inching millimeter, not even by inches. University needs to provide far more than human capital, in my view. Not just creating knowledgeable students to go educate the public. I think university need to provide far more than that, more than expanding human capitals. I think humanity is in crisis. Many of us know, and many don't. And I feel that universities need to be more brave, need to be very, very brave to move forward if we are going to have any roles in SDG, in sustainability. Perhaps universities should be sandboxes for every unknown territories to implement risky and unproven solutions. We haven't been doing that. We are scared. We like to talk about things, but we do not dare to be the cradle, the sandbox for super risky, unproven solutions. We have rules and regulations. And today, it's even worse. I feel that university cannot be business oriented. And we are moving towards business oriented university. We don't spend, we don't have money to spend. We need to earn money. We need to develop new programs to earn more income. If this is the way we are moving towards, we are going to be more like corporations. And in the end, our decisions will be made like corporations, like business. That means lower risk, sure result, but sustainability cannot wait. We don't have that kind of time. And with companies, they won't risk new unknown territory, unknown solutions. I think universities need to rethink our policy and the way we move forward. So the future is not rosy, that's for sure. If we can change our role, rethink our roles, then the university may still have a serious roles in achieving sustainability and BCG policy. And I want to leave it at that and love to discuss more points with all of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Singh. Certainly laid out for us the challenges that are significant.
I'm so sorry, I cannot hear you at all. The microphone is, oh,
This one working?
hi.
Sorry, this is my third microphone, so
All right, now I can hear you.
I'm told this one is working. This is my third effort. Okay, hello. I'm Matthew Downs. I'm attempting to moderate this. This is not my first time moderating programs at Gazette. I've been at Gazette for 9 years, but that's irrelevant. Let's keep going. Thank you so much, Dr. Singh. You've done a wonderful job of laying forward and laying out for us really significantly, seriously serious issues that'll lead to a discussion, I hope. Our next speaker, we're going to try and stay on schedule of about 15 minutes each speaker. Our next speaker is Mr. Reynold Meyer. Meyer is a resident representative of the United Nations Development Program here in Thailand. Mr. Meyer, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Downs. Can you hear me? Just give me a thumbs up if you hear me. Yeah. Okay, great. Arjun Singh, you hear me? Yeah. Okay. Perfect. Great. Well, thanks very much, Kasetsat University, for inviting UNDP and myself to join this seminar. I think it's a very, very good initiative, and as Arjun Singh mentioned, I think involving university students and more generally the youth of the country in a reflection around sustainability, about the future of our planet. And future of planet means future of humanity, is indeed timely and extremely important. I'll share with you around 3 points to answer the question asked about the role of university and the role of students in the framework of the SDGs. And then I'll wrap up by contributing to the thread line that Arjun Singh has posed. Because I'd like to suggest that the same issues, but looked at it from maybe a different perspective to further provoke, the young people in their reflection. Although from what we see in today's Thailand, they don't need much provocation to share their thoughts, which is extremely welcomed and a sign of good health on the side of the youth. The 3 points will be around the university as a place of learning, as a place of experimenting, and as a place of living. So let me unpack the learning part. The learning part is probably the most traditional. It's recognizing that universities are built and have a mandate around knowledge about indeed building human capital, adapting also to the world as the world changes. And I think with the SDGs we have an extremely relevant set of 17 goals. Now, we call them goals, but they are really much more than goals. And if indeed the audience is familiar with what they are, and I won't go into them, but you will recognize that they are 17, I would say, almost non-negotiable rights that people absolutely aspire to and desire. Right? As I've said many times in many forums, I have not yet met, since the adoption of the SDGs in 2015, a single person stand up and say, I disagree fundamentally with goal X or Y or Z. Why? Because they are rights-based. They represent in a different way, the fundamental rights of individuals on this planet. But they also are interdependent, right? And this is very important. It is very difficult for anyone to actually say, oh, I want this one, but I don't want that one. I choose this one, or this one is more important. Because not only are they all important, but they all depend on each other, meaning that it's very difficult to progress on the SDGs if you don't have a holistic approach to all of it. So if you look at the university campus today, the multidisciplinary nature of the SDGs kind of translates in the effort that universities have to do. So, a single faculty specialized in engineering or specialized in agriculture, like maybe the case for CACESAT, cannot on its own say, oh, I take responsibility for achieving the goals. It's just simply impossible. The other very important principle that I think I want to highlight is underlining the SDGs and Agenda 2030 is a very important principle of leaving no one behind. Right? And I think this is critical, because if COVID-19 has shown us how this interdependence of all the goals is critical, right? We started with a health, a virus attacking our health, and it became, basically a human development crisis where economic impact, social impact, to some extent political impact, calling for profound rethinking of the way that we not only live on this planet, meaning the relationship between people and nature, which clearly is deficient, right? But beyond that, what this crisis has shown us is also the interdependence of people. The crisis has hit everyone, and we have seen everybody, realize that alone they can't survive this crisis. They need support, and we've seen amazing levels of solidarity in the Thai society and beyond, demonstrating that in addition to rethinking the relationship between people and nature, we also have to rethink a little bit and definitely inject way more empathy and solidarity in the relationship between humans. So this issue of inclusion, right, needs not to be forgotten when we discuss sustainability. Both are critical for the future of our planet, for the future of society. Sustainability and inclusion. And this is maybe where, this BCG model that we will also discuss, the biocircular green, really focuses on the link between prosperity, economic development, and nature and the management of natural resources, which in Thailand are so critical because such a large chunk of the economy, from agriculture to tourism to forestry, all this relies on natural resources, right? But I would say it's not sufficient. In addition to a BCG vision, we really need to have a leave no one behind vision, an inclusion, a reduction of the inequalities that otherwise really hinder any long-term sustainable progress on the achievement of those rights-based goals. So learning about all this, understanding how they function, understanding what it means, is very critical. And this is what the university and the discussions that take place on campuses between faculty and students, but also between outsiders. And I really encourage universities today to open up to society, to bring in professionals for a much more pragmatic and practical approach to all those issues. So, a big platform of learning around those things. Let me move to the second one, which is the university as a place of experimenting. I think the best, the best possible example of learning is always when it is complemented by demonstration, right? Experimentation. And it used to be, the prerogative of science, but I think now more and more we understand that, using social innovation, using different approaches, social scientists can also be the subject of demonstrations. And here, the university is like a little city, right? More and more now, especially on campuses here in Thailand, I see 7-Elevens, I see, of course, dormitories, I see health checkups, I see, sometimes police stations. I mean, it's like a real mini city. So it's actually really interesting to use the university campuses, use the faculty and the students to really experiment, right? So there's many things that the university can do to demonstrate the value of solutions that you would find and that you would identify. You can look at circularity of how the university functions, what happens to your waste, how you reduce, the carbon footprint of the university. Universities need energy. Where is this energy coming from? Can we install solar panels? Can we look at renewables? Can we look at kitchen gardens around the university, around the dorms, right, to address these issues of food security, issues of nutrition? There's plenty of things that the university can initiate to kind of walk the talk of what the faculty and the students are learning, to move from learning to experimenting. And I think this, in many, many universities, we see SDG labs coming up. We see a lot of those initiatives taking place. And if they are, I think, combined with the learning, it can really bring a very rich mix. The third, and maybe the most important part, in addition to learning, to experimenting, it's university as a place of living. Think of the number of hours that as student you spend on campus. Maybe some of you even live there, right? It's like me in my office. I spend much more time in my office than in my house, right? So these are places where we live. So the plea here, and I think this is what Arjun Singh was also alluding to, is that if the SDGs have a chance of achievement, and I'll come back to why it's very important that we don't give up on them, it's really only if all of us understand that we cannot just be spectator. We cannot just sit out there and look at somebody else's, action and say, "Oh, it's not my job. It's his or her responsibility." SDGs, that's for the government to achieve, right? Or SDG, oh, that's the UN invention. No, unless we are absolutely convinced that the SDG is our own agenda, our personal agenda, then indeed, it's going to be very, very difficult. So we need to move from spectator to actor, the university as a place of living where we all become SDG champions in our mindset, in our behavior, right? And this is extremely important. And again, the campuses offers so much opportunities to volunteer, to take action, to get involved in the accomplishment. And there is no little experiment. There is no little action. It all adds up and is very, very important. This is why UNDP, we engage a lot with universities. We have formulated what we call a youth engagement strategy around 3 key pillars. The first pillar is around civic engagement, making young people, absolutely informed and capacitated citizens, actors in society, because you will end up voting, paying taxes, and therefore you have a right and an entitlement not only to services, but to a voice and to be part of the decision-making process that leads towards regulations and laws and how the state, reforms or guides the country in a certain direction. This is a fundamental right that you should exercise. So civic engagement, economic empowerment, very, very crucial, because one cannot, expect a young person to become an active citizen if they struggle to eat, to have an accommodation, to wear clothes. Basic minimum have to happen. So the economic empowerment, ensuring that everybody has a basic minimum income and basic livelihood, in addition to fulfilling their rights, that's then the mix that starts to be very interesting. And the third pillar, and this is the one that I wanted to get to, is making sure that young people become SDG champion. That not only do they understand and they take ownership of the SDG agenda, but they become actors of it and they disseminate this, they propagate it, right? It's like, the opposite of COVID-19. It's the SDG virus that is going to be so impactful in society, which takes me then to my last point. And to go back to the argument of Arjun Singh, is the SDG achievement possible? I would like to reverse that question. Can we afford not to achieve the SDG? Yes, I agree it is a very ambitious agenda. Yes, I agree sometimes those COP26 and those discourse that we hear from political leaders are really concerning. And, one can be frustrated and one can be impatient. But that's why let's not wait for them. Let's take action. Let's own the SDG agenda. Let's not leave it in the responsibility of those who are in positions of making decisions. We can all contribute, right? And that's what we have to do, because look at what's happening to our world. We are living an existential crisis. If we don't wake up right now, right there, we are threatened as a humanity. It's very clear. Right? The science tells us, the experimentation tells us, the modeling tells us that we are going towards extinction. Right? So there is no other option but to react. Right? And so the question is not anymore, is it possible? Right? But how do we do it? Because even if we don't reach, right, and I could show you, if we had more time, where Thailand stands on the SDG achievement, and you will see that on none of the goals are we at pace with the objective on the basis of the latest models. But even worse, on 3 of the 17 SDGs, we are actually reversing. We are going backwards from where we were 5, 6, 7 years ago. Right? And maybe during the conversation, we can have a little poll to see who knows under which of those 17 goals we are actually going backwards. Right? But I think this is time for a real wake-up call. And to my belief, the wake-up call will have to come from the young people, will have to come from the students, because obviously education is important, and will have to come from university campuses. First, history shows that this is always where everything happens, but it's also a perfect laboratory for combining the wisdom, but also the motivation, the dynamism, the proactiveness, and the passion that young people can and hopefully will continue to bring to this discourse. I'll stop there, and I really look forward to the discussion that we'll have in a few minutes. Thank you so much.
Okay, I'll control it by myself. Okay. สวัสดีค่ะ. Thank you for inviting me. I'm going to talk about the universities and the SDG. I'm from the PTT Global Chemicals, the industry side, and probably different from 2 panelists before. I'm going to split into 3 parts. Part 1 is about a shared vision with our youth. Part 2 is the actions and transformation. And the last part is how do we contribute to the university and the SDG, the linkage between all of them. The first one is I think everybody familiar with this picture. Everybody knows that the challenge for the biodiversity will be collapse, and the climate change, we are talking about COP26 every day, and the recessions happen. COVID-19 that we'll face on that. Otherwise, we will see each other on site. Okay, this is the disruptions as of now, and this is the picture that's talking about if the temperature would not rise or more than 1.5 and 2 degrees Celsius. Compare that, there's going to be the extreme weather. The sea level will be rise. The water availability will be worse and worse. The species that we affect from the climate will be get aggressive and aggressive. That COVID will be change the species aggressive and aggressive. Okay. And our Prime Minister, Kun Prayut Chan-o-cha, went to pledge on the COP26 and talking about it. How do we neutralize the carbon by 2050 and compress the net greenhouse gas emission by 2065? And this is very important that we have to drive by the BCG. BCG is bio, circular, and green up. In the context of Thailand, everybody will be concerned about that. BCG is one of the SDG goals that Dr. Singh already shared all of you, that we have 17 goals, but we cannot focus all of them because it's huge and it's very, very big mission to doing that. We will focus some of them. Okay, this is the BCG, the bio, circular, and green. Now our daily life, which close to the sustainable natural resources environment, we have to taking care of that. And our Prime Minister already pledged that BCG will be the key tools that will drive the COP20, drive the climate change to. And I'm gonna focus on the plastic because this is the example that in our daily life, plastic is in our life every day. We are living on the plastic age, and I'm not gonna focus on that. We are living on the plastic age. Sorry about that. Okay. All right. We live in the plastic age. This is the picture that shows that plastic is in our daily life. And 37.5 million pieces will be used under the COVID pandemic. So how do we come up with take care of the plastic afterlife of them? And the climate change is linked to the plastic waste directly. If you waste the plastic in the landfill, that's gonna emit the greenhouse gas emissions, so the climate change will be rising up and up. So we call for urgent actions on the plastic waste and climate change linked to each other. Okay, this is a picture that's showing that the World Economic Forum talking about a global risks on 2021, talking about the climate actions and the environmental human damage mean the circular economy. So both of them is very important for our life. And I think youth will be concerned about that because this is your future. All right, this is the picture that's showing that plastic use very huge, but we cannot recycle in the efficiency way. Some of them will be recycled, about 6 to 7 was recycled, but most of them into the landfill and incinerated that generate the greenhouse gas emission. This is the picture that the mismanaged work will make the problem on the passing in the surface of water, on the landfill and everything that we saw in the news every day and everything. This is a picture that I think everybody can already see this picture, because if we cannot make the plastic in the efficient way, you will see that turtle will be dying, the fish will be clogged with the plastic, and microplastic will be the very big issue in the future. Okay, this is the picture of our countries in Thailand. We have the post-consumer plastic waste about 2 million tons, but we can manage is about 1 out of 4 is about 500,000 tons. About 75% cannot manage, and it's go to the landfill, go to the incinerations that make the greenhouse gas emission. This is a very mismanaged waste. So we are now still in one top 10 mismanaged waste in the world. So how do we come up with this solution? I think youth or university will help people to concern about this. This is very close to everybody, and this is the things that we have to concern about that. Okay, this is just the photo that show that the leakage of the plastic goes from the household, from the landfill, and this is the very big part of the problem. I think everybody knows about this picture, the linear economy, take, use, and drop in the linear. So make the carbon dioxide or the greenhouse gas emission. We have to think about the principle of the circular economy. That we will use it in the circularity way, and the carbon dioxide will be reduced. I think everybody familiar with this picture already. And the framework of the circular economy will consist of 2 of them. On the left-hand side is about a bio-based I'm gonna make an example of the plastic. Bio-based plastic will be one of the solutions for the circular economy. The other thing is the fuel, fossil fuel that we have to use it, but we have to use it in a circularity way. So both of these will be the very big framework on the plastic waste reduction. This is the example of the circular economy of the others company that will use the circular supplies. Adidas have the Futurecraft loop running shoes. I'm gonna leave this for you. This is a picture showing that the circular economy creating the value for you too and helps the environment as well. I'm gonna jump to the part 2, the action and transformation from the principle to the practice. Everybody knows about the circular economy, the climate and everything. How do we come up with these solutions of that, the action and transformation? Allow me to introduce PTT Global Chemicals. We are the petrochemical flagship. We have 8 business units. The very important unit is the polymers in the yellow or orange color and the polymers. This is a very big part of the business unit. So this business units produce the plastic. So we have to come up with the solution for the plastic waste management as well. In PT Global Chemical, we have the strategy, 3 of them, the step change, step out, and step up. We are now talking about the sustainability is the very important pillar. We call it step up. In the bracket of the red box, we're talking about the climate and water and circular economy that I will show you the example of we making it's a practice of PTT Global Chemicals on that. Right. This is the frameworks of the 17 SDG goal that Ajahn already showed you already. And the framework of PTT Global Chemical, we focus on 3 of them, the economic and governance, the environment, and the social. So we are now aligned with the even ESG, that environmental, social, and governance that investors concerned about it. The SDG goal and the framework of PTT Global Chemical, we are aligning all of them. And the relevance will be discussed later. The sustainability will be very important if we have to set the tone. I mean, in the university as well, if you set the tone that the theme of the SDG will be something like circularity, we have to implement the concept and measure the result. The result have to be the quantifiable results, so you can benchmarking and compare with the others university, or you can development. If you don't have the unmeasurable, you cannot improve them. Okay, before we jump to the how do we come up with the focus area that we talking about, because 17 goals is huge and we cannot do it all the things together in one time. So we have to set the top priority that will be managed closely. One axis, we're talking about the concerns about the stakeholder. The other thing is concerned about the university. But this picture is the 2 axes. One is concern of the PTT Global Chemicals. The other, y-axis, we're concerned about the stakeholder expectations. So we have the priority of 3 goals. The first one is the climate action. This is very important because we are the industry. The second one is our daily life. We're talking about a circular economy. And the 13 goal or 12 goal will not be achieved if you don't have the innovations, which the 9th goal, the speed up. We have to speed up the innovation. The circular economy of PTT Global Chemical will be split into 3 of them. This is the example of them. I'm going to go to roughly. We have the smart operating, talking about a 5R. We have the reduce, reuse, recycle, renewable, and reject. And the second thing is about the product, the responsible carrying. All of the products of PTT Global Chemical will be certified carbon footprint and certified the carbon footprint reduction. And 2 of them is ready. The one is the process, and the other thing is the product. We have now jumped to the loop connecting outside of the company to create an ecosystem for the circularity and circular economy for our countries. And next will be the detail of the smart already. I'm not gonna look detail of that. I'm gonna jump to there's something that will be the example of that. This is the example of the product of PTT Global Chemical will help to be part of the solution of the circular economy. Bioplastic will be the superhero for that too. And the healthcare that we help the COVID-19 outbreak. Okay, the loop connecting is very important. We have the many projects of that. The value added platform, we create the upcycling to create the awareness of the people, especially youth like student or university, and the local collecting management have to be the drop point to talking about the circular economy and the recycling, even the mechanical or chemicals. We have to have the plans for make the solutions for that. And the low carbon or circularity products, we're talking about the standard, we're talking about the certifications and everything's about that. This is the loop connecting that we help outside the company. Okay, and the last part's about it, our framework, we focus on, now I'm gonna focus about 4 of them and I'll show you the example of the project that we focus on that. This is the project that we teens about the circular economy and the climate strategy. Sourcing that already show you that we have to mismanage waste, use of them, and how do we come up with a solution to change 1.5 million tons to be the upcycling or creating the value from waste and produce the end use sector on your right hand side will be the upcycling, creating value and creating the business model. This will help the circular economy happen. This is the ecosystem of the circular economy. And this is the U-turn drop point. We have this drop point in PTT gas stations. Various of them you can share your circularity and PTT gas station as well. And this is the example or the picture that we help create on the goals of the first goal and second goal is about the create the economics, and the third goal is about the health and well-being to create the cleaning agents from people from our communities, and the last thing is very important is about the educations. Now everybody learn online. People in the area of our community in Rayong not have access to the tutor and anything like that. So we help the online tutor and help people, young generations learn better and better. This is a picture that we focus on the first goal and the second goal is about it. This is things like the Grab, things like the Robin Hood, but in the Rayong province. And this is the online education that already talk about that. And the loop connecting is about the upcycling. We clean up the oceans and trash turn into the treasure. This is a picture of the we call G1 recycle, the mangrove recycle. This is made from waste too. And this is a very our daily life. We can change the waste to something that valuable, and this thing that we'll talk about university or young generations like you guys, the children's college community and countries. Our children have the things like Kabang. We can collect the waste and change into the money for the children in the primary school. The college, we have the Waste is Way program about the football, traditional football, Thammasat Chulalongkorn University to make the waste. This is the first time in Thailand to making the waste to the valuable things. After that, we changed the waste to the upcycling product. And the community, we talk about the mangrove already, and the things. The last thing is about our countries. We will create area of the Khao Yai to be one of the area that will demonstrate that how do we come up with a circularity on that. But this will be pending because of the COVID, and you will see in the future for about next year. Okay, this is a picture showing about the traditional football, and this is the drop point that you will see in the gas stations, and this is the Krongkan Yak Lak Yim or PTT gas stations, and this is Saint Plastic Home is about the waste management, and the recycling platform is about it, mechanical and chemical recycling. And last but not least, everybody will be see the practice of the circular economy in our symposium every year. I hope next year will be on site of the circular economy symposium, because now the COVID, we cannot make it happen. All right, this is the example of the climate action waste management platform and the new circular model. I'm not going to go in detail, but this is the picture that which program that we have. And last but not least, I hope that students as a sustainability citizen will be focused at least 2 or 3 in your daily life from the 17 goals. And thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Sawadit. We appreciate the contributions of PTT and the innovations and the many projects. You certainly outlined many, many, many projects. At this point, we have time for questions or dialogue even between the panelists. If you have comments or questions amongst yourselves or from the participants, from students and other people, we invite you to ask those questions of the panelists now. Well, I've been teaching in Thailand for almost 10 years, and so I didn't really expect questions from students. I invite students to send questions through us. If you want to talk to some of the contributors, the speakers, please contact us at IAD, and we can forward them onto the speakers. And if you come up with questions throughout the program, you can put them in the chat. You can write them in the chat or send them to us by email to IAD, and we will forward them on. Okay, well, thank you so much for the panelists for your contributions, your thoughtful comments, and frankly, the significant challenges that have been put before all of us. At this point, we're going to take a short break of about 10 minutes. So 10 minutes from now will be 20 minutes after the hour. 20 minutes after the hour, we can reconvene. So I'll see you again in about 10 minutes, 20 minutes after the hour. Thank you so very much. Welcome back. I think we can start our second panel now. Again, the second panel is diverse. We have representatives from 2 universities, one in Thailand, one from outside Thailand, Japan, and also representative again from the United Nations. So it's very valuable to us, obviously, to have the level of expertise of who are participating in the panel discussions today. We'll start first. This panel discussion is focusing on macro level sustainability, bioeconomy, circular economy, and green economy, BCG. And our first speaker from Hokkaido University, Japan, Professor Masaki Morikawa. Dr. Morikawa is a faculty of environmental earth sciences at Hokkaido. I will let him take over now. Thank you.
Thank you for Chairman. So this is Masaki Morikawa from Hokkaido University. Hokumaka, thank you very much for attending. So today I'd like to introduce our ongoing joint project between Hokkaido University and Kasat University that should contribute to realize the SDGs, especially for the sustainable industry and control of the climate change, and also the conservation of the biodiversity. So this project is supported by the Japanese government, Japan Science and Technology Agency, and the Japan International Cooperation Agency. The project is called SATREPS. So the title of today's talk is about the small aquatic plants, that quiz. It's the potential tool to realize SDGs, especially the Thailand BCG economy. So what is the duckweed? I am afraid most of them, you don't know much about this. So the duckweed, a smallest flowering plant growing in environmental water, including wastewater and sewage, especially the nitrogen and phosphorus rich sources. So there are 5 genera and 36 species in the world. So the biggest one, the giant duckweed, has a diameter less than 1 centimeter. And the smallest one, the Wolfia, is a rootless duckweed with the size is less than 5 millimeter long. So they are very small, but they have a huge, functions. So this duckweed is composed of from the root and the frond. Frond is a leaf-like structure, so they don't have stem, and they are floating aquatic plant, so they grow very fast. Interestingly, so they belong to the same family, Arashi, as the world's biggest flowering plant. So we realize the diversity of the plant. Okay, so most of you know that about the plant is one of the renewable energy sources contributing to the carbon neutral. So our use energy emit the carbon dioxide, which is a global warming gas, and the biomass, the plant, can fix the carbon dioxide into the organic compounds, and the biomass can be converted to biofuels and methane and ethanol by the function of the fermented bacteria and fermented yeast. But the wood, composed of not only the cellulose and hemicellulose, it contains lots of the recalcitrant compounds that are the major compounds which are very difficult to break down. But the duckweed contains a little lignin because they don't need to stand against the gravity, so they are a very soft biomass plant. And the cellulose is less and rich in starch. And they grow in wastewater and purified water, and also they can grow under the high carbon dioxide conditions. So our concept is to clean up the water using this aquatic biomass plant duckweed, and the duckweed can uptake the pollutant nitrogen and phosphorus and grow, and the product biomass can be used for biofuels and bioplastics and so on. And they can be wastewater treatment tools, so the water can be cleaned up. So these activities are mainly, generally, mainly by the bacteria, but the plant can take place. And I'm a microbiologist, so today another topic is the plant growth promoting bacteria. So what is the plant growth promoting bacteria? So the discovery is like this. So we have found novel bacteria that can promote the growth of high potential aquatic plants duckweed by 1.5 to 2-fold. So upon the inoculation of the PGP bacteria, so the plants grows faster. So these are the symbiosis, and especially this symbiosis is called the mutualism. So the both sides benefit. So utilizing this bacteria, we can improve the productivity of the duckweed in the wastewater. So I will show the example. So the upper panel shows the duckweed with no bacteria, and the bottom panel shows the duckweed with plant growth promoting bacteria on its surfaces. So you can see the number of the fronds increases from 6 to 10 or 11 or 12 something. And the bottom panels, you can see the more fronds are growing, and also the color is more greenish. That means the duckweed is more healthy. So after 1 week, this duckweed reached to 25, but the duckweed with PGPB reached to the 95. So it's huge amount. So we can utilize this bacteria activity to increase the biomass production. So we tested these systems in the practical wastewater conditions, and we found the productivity is higher, more than 2 to 3 folds. So that means the bacterial duckweed interaction will be very helpful. Okay, so the duckweed has multiple benefits. So I will introduce about this. So the duckweed is very small, but it contains a huge amount of the protein and also the starch. So the starch can be used for the biofuel production, including the ethanol and methane. And starch can be converted to the plastics and also the polyesters. So this is a green chemistry field. And the duckweed can accumulate up to 40% proteins. So this is a very nice animal feed. So these are the trade-offs. So depending on the conditions, the duckweed accumulates lots of starch or the proteins. And upon the feeding the chickens with the duckweed, so these chlorophylls and carotenoid compound has increased the yellow yolk color more darker. So it increased the value of the egg. And also I told you, so the duckweed can clean up the wastewater. So it can be a water purifying agent, and the wastewater can be used as a cost-free fertilizer. So the biomass production is per year, the hectare per year is about 110 to 100 tons dry weight. It's huge. It's more than the general crops. So the trade-off is that the duckweed accumulates protein or starch depending on the conditions. So after the growth of the duckweed, we put the duckweed into the seawater or the tap water, which is a very nutrient poor condition. So in the beginning, so the duckweed contains 30% proteins and the starch content is only 3%. But after a week, so the starch contents reach to 45% and protein contents decrease to 11%. So this means the duckweed quality can be controlled depending on the demand. So duckweed is not only a local food, but also a future food. As you may know, that Thailand has long history to eat kainam. It's a kind of duckweed, rootless duckweed. In English, it's an egg of water. And there are farms far from the Bangkok in Lampang, etc. So they grow duckweed in the pond and selling in the markets, and the price is very cheap. So our hope is to help the farms to increase the productivity and also the value of the welfare much more. So recently, Thailand is also has started to focusing on the value of the kainam. So there are several companies established. For example, the Advanced Green Farm. So they are selling the wolfia. It's reinvented Thai traditional vegetables, and also this warfare is very rich in vitamins and proteins. So this is superfood. And in United States, they are challenged to grow the warfare in the space, no gravity, and to use these crops for the human food in space. So finally, this is our concept of the joint project. So we are collecting all the number of the duckweed species all over the Thailand, and also some duckweed can grow in the wastewater and purify the water, and the product duckweed can be used for the biofuels and bioplastics. On the other hand, edible warfare can be also taken, and also our PGP activities, we can help the farms. And also we are finding the new compound, which is very valuable for human health. Okay, Kopuma, thank you very much for attention. That's all for my talk. I welcome your questions. Thank you.
Well, thank you so very much. We'll continue with the panel. There's 3 speakers on this panel, and then we'll take time for questions at the end. Professor, you're right. I was not aware of duckweed, but now I am now a big fan. I will look forward to learning more about duckweed and seeing it in the marketplace. Thank you so very much.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Dr. Luwen Liu, founding director of the STEAM platform. STEAM stands for Science, Technology, Engineering, Art, and Mathematics at King Mongkut's University of Technology, Thonburi, just on the east side of Bangkok. Dr. Liu, please.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your introduction. And can I share my screen? Can you guys see my screen? Can you see my screen? Oh, not yet. Okay.
Not yet.
Okay.
It's coming up.
Okay. So I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to be able to speak to you today. It's past 10:30 in the evening in Sydney. I'm actually based in Bangkok, but I'm home in Sydney for Christmas and New Year after being 2 years away. Let's see. Can you see my screen now?
Yeah, I can see it.
Excellent. Okay. So can I just play a 2-minute video just to introduce STEAM platform? And then I'll go into my slide. Is that okay? Let me just go. I hope this.
Communicate your science.
Can you hear my sound?
Is a key for your success. Like many of you, I did not grow up speaking.
Oh, yeah. Don't know why.
English, so I believe practicing and learn by doing are very important. I am here to help. Look forward to working with all of you.
Over the last 25 years of my career, I have learned the power of strategic communication that could add value to research, business, and saving the planet and helping improving the life of people. We have built the STEAM platform together with students in Thailand. To inspire more young people like you to join our journey in learning sustainability. Come join us in our strategic communication program. Together, we will transform the world towards sustainability.
Okay. Excellent. Thank you. Thank you for allowing me to share this. So I don't know whether you guys have a chance to look at our website. It's steamplatform.org. I will send a text later. So what I just shown you is a strategic communication program in partnership with Thai government. We just completed our national pilot, and in partnership with NIA, National Innovation Agency, and the Regional Science Park. Next year, 2022, we are going national. We're going to work with 8 universities. So I hope KU will become one of our partners. To basically, if you have noticed STEAM, the A, STEM plus A stands for art and also purpose. So purpose here, since we are in the context of BCG, SDG, sustainability, I would just say sustainability. It includes BCG and includes SDG. So this is a presentation that I actually gave last Friday exactly, at the Asia Development Bank to the event organized by the Education Division of the Asia Development Bank. So what we focus on is really using STEM knowledge with the purpose of sustainability. And we train our young people. Now, in this context, is our Thai youth. We have been doing our 3 years of practice, this program in KMUTT, to train our students, our researchers, and also people who have joined our program. I think we have actually students from KU joined us as well during our pilot program this year. So our focus is really knowledge. We have heard so many problems in the last hour or so about SDGs and the climate crisis that we've been facing today. But what STEAM platform focus on is knowledge, partnership, and entrepreneurship. And in particular, we promote youth leadership to drive the transformation. And our platform has 3 pillars: knowledge convergence, skills and mindset, and entrepreneurship for SDG 2030. We integrate knowledge such as Industry 4.0, that including knowledge in here, the AI, big data, robotics, digital factory, and coupled with circular economy and BCG. Our methodology is the following: knowledge, as I said, skills. Our skills, the way we train our skills, we use team-based workshops with personalized mentorship. And our entrepreneurship training engage global and local partners. And our students, our trainees, actually have the opportunity to have internships in industry partners, in global organizations such as ADB and World Bank. And we also use smart management, a data-driven content and training management practice. So to really allow our platform to scale. What we've done, we started in 2018 in KMUTT. Actually, the way we started is really to train. Initially, we wanted to train our young students, mainly undergraduate, 4th-year students, to present their final year innovation to a global technology context called ICANN. So we initially started inviting all the students, undergraduate students in KMUTT, to submit their final year project summary, and we selected 5. They pitched to us, and in that pitching process, we trained them, and then we selected 5 for a 1-month intensive training to participate in this event, ICANN 2018 in Hong Kong. So we managed to really transform the entire perception of Thai youth among international audience. In fact, in particular, we presented 5 innovations to 30 the Greater China investors, and so some of our project received 2nd and 3rd awards. And moving forward, we build partnerships with ADB and with World Bank and also many other global institutions. We have partnered with UNDP as well. And since we focus on deep tech, so we have showcased our student innovations at the Asia Clean Energy Forum at ADB. We organized data science bootcamp for sustainability with our partner in the Netherlands. We also partner with Russian Rush Nano, which is funded by the Russian Ministry of Education on Nanograd program. We run a workshop with 400 students, and we partner with ADB at the Rural Development and Food Security Forum. We work with a Indian company in organizing Indo Data Week. And we also partner with another global organization in Singapore on Circularity 2030. We have, during the COVID period, we organized a hack for resilience with World Bank. We also partner with the Japanese accelerator on Tech Planta and Thailand 2020. And last year, we were awarded a project by NXPO, a Thailand funding organization, probably most of you know, to map the circular economy ecosystem in Thailand. And that was a 6-month project. We went on the ground. We interviewed about 30 leaders, leading practitioners from policy, to industry, to education institutions, and startups. You can see everything that we've done on our website, steamplatform.org, and go to our YouTube channel, key in KMUDT STEAM. So subscribe to us. You see everything that we do on our website. We organized the Circular Economy Leadership and Partnership Summit this year in March, bringing together global players from all over the world to address the importance of policy in business. And recently, we completed our strategic communication program funded by NXPO again, and in partnership with NIA and Regional Science Park. Now, in the context of circular economy, we built a framework following the life cycle thinking, starting with extraction of natural resources. So, for example, if you want to understand plastic circularity, we train our students to understand where plastic comes from, starting from the oil and gas extraction and the whole production process. I think our previous speaker from PTT GC explained to you how it works. Then the plastic goes through a distribution and service, then go to our consumer in different forms of products such as packaging. And finally, end of use. We could, of course, in end of use, there are many ways to go forward. You could chuck it in the bin, which will be collected hopefully and sorted and get recycled, or it goes to landfill. But we don't want to do that in circular economy. We want to collect, sort, and recycle, turn into recycled plastic, and then make new product again. Or you could reuse, you could clean, reuse, and repair, and use it again, like reusable containers, for example. So we really want our garbage away from landfill to go through the 6 R's, I call it. So usually there are 3 R's in waste management. There's reduce, reuse, and recycle. But in circular economy, we're not only doing in the context of reuse, we could go further into reuse, remanufacture, refurbish, and repair. So we add additional R into these 3 R's to just elaborate further the different specific actions to allow the circularity to happen. Hang on a second. So there are bioplastic. Now we talked about bioeconomy. Now in addition to the oil and gas plastic, now there's a sort of trend in pushing bioplastic, but bioplastic is not necessarily more sustainable because it requires natural resources, land, and we also need to go through agriculture production, which again takes up a lot of carbon footprint as well. And so we really have to conduct the life cycle assessment to see which one is more sustainable. So bioplastic is not a solution to climate change and to sustainability. We have to see how the role of consumer, how the product is being used, and how it's being treated at end of use and end of life. So this is a really critical point when we look at BCG. Now, this I want to highlight. I don't have a lot of time, but I will elaborate a little bit here on a module that we developed to integrate circular economy, BCG, and Industry 4.0, and 4 SDGs. So we developed in AKMUDT, we piloted a module called Technology Innovation for Sustainability, where in the knowledge, remember we have 3 pillars, right? So the knowledge part, we talked about circular economy. We elaborated on the methodology, life cycle assessment, waste management, supply chain, food and agriculture sector, how materials being circulated, and energy is the role of energy, circularity, and eco-design. And we actually invite speakers from different faculty and also internally within KMUDT and externally from industry, from other global institutions, to share their practices on advanced robotics, digital factory, IoT, AI, and data analytics. So on the purpose part, we have invited UNDP to talk about SDG 2030. We have speakers to talk about critical thinking, communications, and leadership. On the entrepreneurship section, we talked about supply chain management and sustainability, business model design with principle for sustainability and circular economy, and the impact on SDGs. So this is really for us is a flagship in terms of institution program. The key features in this module really is to really focus on the life cycle thinking and adopt peer-to-peer learning, and to showcase cutting-edge technology and global trends, and to really highlight on the entrepreneurship side, really how can we solve problems by developing novel business models, and also design thinking based on sustainability and circular economy principles. And we conduct value chain and supply chain analysis. So this is the sort of unique feature that we haven't seen has been taught in other institutions in the context of a circular economy and SDGs. We also conduct training programs focusing on innovation and entrepreneurship, and both physical and virtual. So our program is called Entrepreneurship Powered by STEAM, Driven by Sustainability. This is really our flagship. So I won't have time to go into the details of this program, but you could visit our website. I will send a link of our website of this program, and you can see all this on our web. How we conduct value chain analysis, again, follow the life cycle thinking methodology. We train our students how to do technology capability analysis and competitive analysis in the market, and how to conduct market research. Now, this is really when we train our students how to present their technology analysis, these are the key points that they need to follow. The why, problem statement. What is the solution that you have for the problem you have identified? How does your innovation work? How does it work, basically? How can it address the issue, the problem, and the impact? And of course, most importantly, how can you relate your solution to sustainability? So a number of events, but finally, I just wanted to highlight our STEM element in our program is the emerging advanced technology, deep tech-driven innovations. So we look at technology, we divide technologies into 3 categories: digital technology, physical technology, and biotechnology. So what previous professor talked to you about is mainly on the biotechnology. How can we integrate physical, digital, and biotechnology together to converge these? That's why we call it technology convergence, to innovate, to add value to our innovation. This is what we focus on when we train our students to conduct entrepreneurship training. So moving forward, we have a textbook on an introduction to circular economy published by Springer Nature. It's got awarded the New Development Award. Our next step, I'd like to invite you to be our partner and to join our knowledge platform, Knowledge Hub, and together we can accelerate the transition towards a more sustainable world and to reach our SDG faster. Thank you for your attention.
Well, thank you so very much, Dr. Liu. It was very interesting to hear about your innovation and program design and your enterprise. It is very inspiring. Those are the three speakers that were presenting in this panel. But now I invite everyone to offer questions or comments or persons on the panel. You can discuss with each other as well. So if you have a question, please offer the question, or if you have a comment, please offer the comment.
Hi, Professor.
I'm just typing our website if you want to subscribe to our newsletters. Also subscribe.
Hi, Professor Matthew. Hear me?
Oh, yes.
Yes. Hi, this is Marisa. I think you've forgotten one.
I did. I made a mistake. I'm very sorry. I made a big mistake. Good God. I missed the last speaker. Oh my goodness. It's past my bedtime. No, it's not. I'm just
How's my bedtime?
Just a bad mistake. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, so our next speaker is Miss Marisa Banyas-Chiwa. She is the Partnership and Development Finance Officer, the Office of the United Nations Resident Coordinator here in Thailand. I'm so embarrassed. Sorry.
No worries at all. And thank you very much. And Sawadee ka, everyone. Students and faculty, colleagues and friends, future leaders. Thank you for the invitation to speak today on the Biocircular Green Economy, or the BCG. And as you know, Thailand is implementing the BCG economic model towards sustainable development, which sits within the larger framework of the sufficiency economy policy. And this is very much in line with the UN's strategy in realizing the sustainable development goals. With the pressing global challenges facing us all, such as loss of nature and biodiversity, climate change, and deepening inequalities, we must recognize that our economic systems are very much dependent on nature, people, and healthy societies. And in this context, it's a privilege to be addressing students and faculty at Gasayat University. The UN's mission is strengthened by your support as we face these multi-generational challenges, which require innovation and new mindsets, including in agriculture and economics, engineering, and the social sciences. And you are poised for leadership in this regard, which is both a responsibility and also an opportunity. The ongoing pandemic has highlighted our interconnectedness, not only of the challenges we face, but also the solutions that we can collectively make into a reality. We must realize that prosperity must go hand in hand with the planet so that we can transform into an inclusive economy based on green, resilient, low carbon, sustainable development. This priority is evident in Thailand's 13th draft National Economic and Social Development Plan, which places the BCG economy at the center and supported by the UN Sustainable Development Cooperation Framework guiding the UN's work. As we move towards recovery from the pandemic, we must seize this opportunity to build forward for a greener and more equitable new normal, which is at the heart of the concept of BCG. Today, I'd like to focus on two main ideas. First, let's look at what the UN in Thailand is currently doing in support of BCG as a model to drive economic and social development in the country. And second, what can we look forward to from a UN perspective? So first, what is the UN currently doing in support of BCG? I'd like to first highlight the UN's work around food systems. Food systems are multifaceted and complex, and at the foundation of achieving progress on the SDGs, connected both to healthy societies as well as more sustainable relationships with nature. This will only be possible with a transformation towards climate-smart agriculture, sustainably increasing productivity and farmer incomes, while also adapting and building resilience to climate change and reducing greenhouse gas emissions. The UN is promoting more efficient, inclusive, and sustainable food systems in line with the BCG economy. To address issues in marine ecosystems, we're working with the fisheries sector to reduce illegal, unreported, and unregulated fishing that's not only detrimental to biodiversity and stock sustainability, but also has limited Thailand's competitiveness in international markets. And shifting focus to the land, FAO, in partnership with the Department of Agriculture, has worked with farmers on food loss and waste management in banana production, reducing emissions from food waste while increasing crops and revenues. The UN also invests in standards and norms for sustainable farming to enable Thailand to keep pace and scale up global competitiveness. Supported by UNEP and with members from across the world, the Sustainable Rice Platform links different stakeholders from research and production to trade and consumption. And this platform offers farmers the opportunity to use a verified label as a part of an integrated initiative that benefits farmers through reduced input costs, more secure markets, and improved livelihoods. This is a good example how collaboration across sectors can support small farm holders and lead to environmental sustainability. In another sector that's important to KU's mandate, let me turn to the UN's work around eco-tourism, premised on the BCG model as a second example. The tourism industry in Thailand is a critical driver for development, which provides livelihoods for millions of people. In pre-pandemic times, it contributed to 17% of GDP, and in 2019 provided jobs for 4.4 million people, from those managing, from those who are managing online booking platforms to hotels, but also to local communities. And in the ongoing recovery from COVID, Thailand has recently reopened its borders to welcome international tourists. And this presents a good opportunity to promote sustainable tourism under the BCG model. The UN, through UNDP, is supporting the this effort for ecological and biodiversity-based sustainable and cultural tourism through partnership with the government, the private sector, and local communities. This joint effort is helping to develop and mainstream biodiversity-based tourism at the community level as a central part of Thailand's national tourism strategy to enhance biodiversity conservation and reduce threats from unsustainable tourism development and to generate sustainable financing for biodiversity and local livelihood. In addition, this promotes sustainable competitiveness and equips Thailand's BCG industries with knowledge, technology, and innovation, focusing on green manufacturing. The UN and the Tourism Authority of Thailand have also been working together on community-led tourism. And this not only showcases sustainable development using the BCG model, but it also serves as a mechanism for the community to share benefits from their initiative. The UN's work on ecotourism will help showcase how to affect a transformation of the economic model based on green and inclusive and inclusion principles so that we can build forward sustainably with a focus on enhancing productivity and balancing environmental impact. To my third example, I wanted to share how the UN through UNIDO, the UN Industrial Development Organization, is incorporating BCG in their work around metal recycling. On a daily basis, we're exposed to organic effluents that affect human health and the environment. And many of these effluents are unintentionally produced. The pollutants come from a variety of different sources, with the top three being municipal waste, incineration, open burning, and contaminated scrap metal recycling. So through UNIDO and related agencies, the UN is collaborating to implement the greening of the scrap metal value chain to reduce the release of these pollutants from recycling facilities. In the metal industry, particularly steel and aluminum, we've introduced metal scrap processing machines, which help clean contaminants from metal scrap before it reaches the furnace. The machines help with reducing energy consumption and generates more production efficiency, leading to lower carbon emission. And by introducing these best available techniques and practices, to the metal production process, we can help reduce or eliminate these pollutants. The UN is supporting the government with the necessary technical and financial assistance, and we're helping to strengthen the institutional capacity of decision makers and the private sector to improve the regulatory framework. These joint efforts are helping to ensure that the scrap metal value chain is more environmentally friendly and sustainable. So now that you've heard a few examples of what the UN in Thailand is doing to support the BCG transformation, I'd like to share with you what we can look forward to from a UN perspective as we continue to use the model to drive economic and social development. So to understand the UN's mission in Thailand over the next 5 years, we need to look at the UN Sustainable Development Cooperation Framework, which is under final review by the government. The cooperation framework is the overall plan uniting the different UN agencies to help address national priorities and gaps in achieving the 2030 agenda. It's the single most important document that will define what we do in Thailand, and it will identify key partnerships that will support our common goals, and it will guide the UN's work for the next 5 years in support of the National Development Plan and the SDGs. The cooperation framework was prepared in close dialogue with the government, the private sector, and civil society, including public outreach and polling to make sure that our work is driven by evidence and responsive to the situation on the ground as felt by people in their daily lives. The cooperation framework takes effect on the 1st of January, and it identifies 3 outcomes. The first outcome relates to the inclusive, green, resilient, low carbon, and sustainable economy that we've been talking about. The second outcome focuses on investing in human capital by strengthening institutions and partnerships, as well as empowering people. And the third outcome prioritizes leaving no one behind by ensuring that people who are most at risk can participate and benefit from development free from all forms of discrimination. And this is central to our human rights-based approach. And as you can see, there's a strong alignment between the 2030 agenda and Thailand's own development agenda, grounded in the sufficiency economy philosophy and the BCG model. A consistent theme throughout this work is the sharing of knowledge. And the UN is able to leverage South-South and triangular cooperation to advance the SDGs through transfer of technical knowledge between countries and the adaptation of development solutions. This is increasingly important as countries in the global South take a leadership role in development, creating new partnerships between each other, and sometimes with the support of a more developed country in a triangular arrangement. The UN is identifying flagship South-South and triangular cooperation projects where we can invest collectively and in collaboration with the Thailand International Cooperation Agency, or TICA. More specifically, we'll be looking at pilot projects in line with the BCG model, such as offering training in relation to biofuels through transfer of biofuel technologies to other countries, and also helping to develop sustainable business models for the agro-industry value chain. And Thailand has much to offer in terms of low carbon technology that other countries, particularly in the Mekong sub-region, could learn from. And this goes both ways. There are also developments in neighboring countries from which Thailand could learn, such as on energy policies for low carbon development. And as a clearinghouse for this cooperation, the UN plays this crucial role, and we will continue to host a dialogue between countries and the sharing of knowledge and best practices. Before I conclude, I wanted to highlight one more important area of work that's coming up in relation to BCG, where the UN is coordinating urgent action that depends on champions from civil society, such as yourselves. We are organizing a high-level roundtable dialogue on biodiversity to explore ways how the UN, together with government, the private sector, and civil society, can protect the nearly 470 species and their habitats in Thailand that are listed as threatened. The loss of biodiversity in itself is a major crisis, and it's closely linked with climate change, land degradation, and pollution. The climate and biodiversity emergencies are not distinct, but they're actually two aspects of one crisis. Conserving nature and sustainable management of ecosystems and the services they provide is fundamental to maintaining a healthy planet, without which our societies and economies cannot continue to prosper. In Thailand, where agriculture plays an important role in the economy, it's important to recognize the synergies and trade-offs between agriculture production and environmental conservation, and the importance of mainstreaming conservation and sustainable use of biodiversity across food systems, including crops, livestock, forestry, fisheries, and aquaculture. And this is very much in line with the concept of BCG. The UN is currently building coalitions to identify champions for threatened species and their habitats. And we're hoping that you will join us as partners to take a central role as protectors of Thailand's ecosystems and biodiversity. As one of the oldest and leading education institutions in the country, Ksait Saad University, its faculty and students have a vital role to protect the national ecological wealth. And we hope you'll consider becoming champions of biodiversity, both formally through this initiative and in your personal and professional lives. So in conclusion, I hope you've noticed that in each of the examples about the UN's work, progress is only possible in the context of partnerships. Our collective efforts to achieve the SDGs will have a real impact on you and your families and the welfare of your communities. So your actions and commitment can help determine the future in which we all live. And as Renaud mentioned in the earlier panel on SDGs, we can all contribute. At the UN, we strongly urge you to reach out with your ideas. If you have a contribution to make, whether it's on our Champions of Biodiversity initiative, or if you have other ideas in any of this complex work, please do reach out and contact us by email. I'll put the information in the chat. Visit our website, follow us on Twitter at UN Thailand. This is a joint effort, and we really rely on your input. The UN stands ready to work in partnership for progress towards the SDGs in line with the sufficiency economy philosophy and the biocircular green growth model. So thank you very much for your time, and I look forward to further collaboration in the future. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Ms. Marisa. It was very interesting and challenging to hear about the many initiatives that the United Nations has taken in conjunction with or in goals of assisting Thailand and the joint collaboration. At this point, we do have time for discussion. I want to encourage discussion and comments from the panelists or from participants. And indeed, I don't think we need to stay within the one panel, because a lot of the comments that between panel one and panel two go back and forth. There are some different themes that have been enunciated and emphasized between both panels. So certainly going forward, we have plenty of time I mean to throw it open for comments and suggestions and questions, please.
I have a question or two for Professor Morikawa from Japan. Hello. Anyone hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, Ken.
Yeah. I wonder if temperature affects biomass use of the duckweed. Will we get more biomass if the temperature is higher?
What is higher?
Temperature.
Temperature.
Water temperature.
Growing temperature. What temperature do you mean? Growing temperature of duckweed?
I mean, if the water is warmer, we will get more biomass of the duckweed.
Warmer means the climate. What do you mean? So that Thailand is rich in duckweed. So what do you mean the warm?
Can anyone tell me? Anybody here can speak Japanese?
I think there's I'm guessing that the issue is climate change and the rise in temperature of the environment, including water as well as air temperature.
But my point is, if we are able to yield more from duckweed, so we have potential to use biofuel instead of petrol.
Right, makes sense.
Sorry, I cannot catch you. So the duckweed is generally tolerant to the warming condition, but yeah, if the temperature goes higher than 35 or 40, it may have problem to grow for the duckweed.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much. I think your research is very interesting.
Thank you.
Other questions, comments? There's a question on the channel, on the chat, that wants to know whether they think the problem with regarding to implementation of SDGs or BCG is mainly in communication, or is it in a problem with regard to action?
Communication and action, I think. We need to communicate and take action at the same time. Is that I can't see that question. Where's the question? Yeah.
Yes, if I can add, I agree. I think both communication and action are issues that we need to address. But I think one particular thing about action is that what I was saying earlier about the interconnectedness of everything. Because you take action in one area, it affects action in other areas. So just for example, you have the problem of PM 2.5, and you want to solve the air pollution problem. Well, we've analyzed the chemical fingerprinting of the smoke, and we see that a lot of the smoke is caused by biomass burning. So the burning of the agricultural residue. So instead of burning, what can we do? Perhaps we can use flooding techniques and the use of some fungus to help dissolve the residue rather than to burn it. But then to do that, you need lots of water, and that's a lot of resources that are required, and that's not readily available everywhere. So then you're causing now you have to see what can we do with where can we get water as a resource. Biofuels, perhaps instead of flooding, we can use the residue to create biofuels. But we also see that what is the cost of biofuels, right? And when you have subsidies for diesel, for example, what is the cost analysis? So I guess my point is just that when you take action, it's not a simple one action thing. By taking action in one area, it actually could affect progress in other areas. So that's why it's very important to see it from a holistic viewpoint and see the interconnectedness of not just the challenges, but also the solution.
Can I just also echo on Marissa's point? I think I totally agree. I think we need that ecosystem approach and also life cycle thinking approach, right? Coming from natural resources. We have to exploit natural resources, including land, water, and soil. So whatever we do, there's a consequence. Action, there's a consequence. So be aware of those consequences. And this is what STEAM Platform's approach is about. We need knowledge. Why would farmers burn the biomass in the first place? Do they have sufficient knowledge to deal with the biomass? They don't have to burn it. They can convert biomass into value-added materials, and they could compost them. There are different ways to go forward with the biomass, but without knowledge, they just do it in the old-fashioned way. Now there are a lot of them burning, then we get the pollution. I think think it's a fantastic point over there.
Other comments, questions, ideas?
Hello. Hello.
Yes.
My name is Dr. Shanita Bunma from Kasetsart University. About the knowledge, in my opinion, the transfer knowledge that you want to transfer to farmer, I think it should be simple one, so that they can take action simply. In my opinion. Because I also have some experience to deal with farmer before, and they would like to prefer something simple. So
Right.
if you would like to transfer knowledge, we should develop some protocol that which is very simple for them to operate, so that they can easily use it.
Yeah, totally agree. Totally agree. Actually, I think Kazakhstan University probably also have social lab, but I know KMUDT has been working in our social lab across Thailand, like in Chiang Rai, Chiang Mai, and Nan provinces, for example, to work with farmers to transfer knowledge, to help them develop more sustainable solutions in terms of farming, in terms of dealing with biomass, and giving them, teach them how to harvest energy. So this is what really the role of university could do, is to go to the villages, have our social lab, our researchers, students, faculty members go there and work with the farmers hand in hand to transfer those knowledge and develop a more sustainable solution to have a more sustainable livelihood in the rural area.
And if I may add, and I agree, I think we should be able to find like some simple capacity building for farmers. But what the UN is looking at is we're also looking at other solutions, because it's not just about capacity building, but it's about trying to see, from the bigger picture perspective, what are some market-based solutions? What are some things that we can do? And just to give an example, perhaps it's not that the farmer doesn't know that burning of the residue should be avoided, but it's because they might lack the machinery to take care of, or maybe it just costs too much for their small farm to deal with the agricultural waste. But if we can coordinate with other farmers, perhaps, and so that you can put the cost of bringing this machinery down and lower the cost, then that's actually another solution that we could explore. So I think it's about also looking at the different solutions that would work, and fitting, of course, in different areas. We may have to find solutions that work for that particular area.
Okay, well, thank you so very much for your contributions from the panelists, and also thank you for the questions and comments from other folks. If you have more comments or questions, please drop them in the chat, and we will forward them or try to respond as we go forward, or at least pass them on to the speakers so they have a chance to have a dialogue with you separately, perhaps. Then we're moving forward to the final keynote address. The final keynote address was given to us by Dr. Wijan Sivathakroya, who is the president of Thailand Environmental Institute. His presentation is focusing on Thailand's national agenda, the bio-circular green economy model. Dr. Wijan. Can't hear you for some reason. Mhm.
Right now it's okay?
Now I can hear you. Yes, now I can hear you.
Okay, all right. Good evening, everyone. It's my great pleasure to be here to join undergraduate student online forum to promote sustainable development goal and bio circular green economy model. Let me share my slide. Can you see my PowerPoint?
It's coming up, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm going to talk about the Thailand national agenda on the bio-circular green economy, especially for the policy and also the implementation on the ground. My topic outline will cover the environmental trend and also the what is a BCG model already mentioned by our colleague, circular economy and the Big Rock project, especially for the implementation of the circular economy concept. Dr. Sawanit already mentioned to this. We are facing with the COVID-19, but follow that will be a recession and the climate change, followed by biodiversity collapse, which much more higher. Dr. Singh already mentioned the 17 Sustainable Development Goal. We still continue until 2030. The decade of action SDG index from Sustainable Development Report 2021 revealed that some SDG index decreasing for Thailand, although only SDG 1 on no poverty meets the SDG achievement. Most SDG are still on. Actually, you can take a look at Thailand SDG achievement compared to other, but in general, our country is still in the on track of SDG. From COP26, recently, most countries around the world have set the ambitious target on net zero emission by 2050, and 81 countries has already committed at the meeting. 60 countries around the world on the consideration process to achieve the balance between anthropogenic emission by sources and removal by sink of the greenhouse gas in the second half of this century. A key sector-specific page at the COP26, you may know already, especially for the page to quit the coal usage to end up deforestation by 2030, to reduce methane emission and also page at transition to 100% of zero emission vehicles. Thailand, by our Prime Minister, had already committed to the intensive target of NDC, National Determined Contribution, from 20% to 40% by 2030, carbon neutrality by 2050, and net zero greenhouse gas emission by 2065. Thai government strongly promote a new economic model known as BCG. BCG model is an economic model for sustainable development, which B stands for bioeconomy, C stands for circular economy, and G stands for green economy. BCG is the new national agenda for the government. BCG economic model is implementing as a post-COVID-19 based on the principle of sufficient economy philosophy by the late King Ramanai, support SDG and commitment of Paris Agreement on climate action. The major area cover food security, health security, energy security, employment security, and last but not least, sustainable natural resources and environment. The concept of the plan is to move forward, leave no one behind, by strengthening from within the country, especially our list of natural resources and biodiversity, and how we can connect to the world. The vision of the BCG is the growth of sufficient and quality economy with the science, technology, and innovation cover for strategy. The first one is the building the sustainability of natural resources and biodiversity. The second one is the create ability to respond for changing. And the third one is strengthening local economy. And the fourth one is enhance sustainable competition for BCG, especially for the industrial level. The strong point of the country, you may know already, biodiversity rich. Thailand is ranked 18 of country in the world with the list of biodiversity, and at the same time we also have cultural diversity. How we develop the good policy management strategy, apply science, technology, innovation, and most important is how stakeholders can participate in BCG. Turning to the challenges to opportunity of the country, as mentioned earlier, right now we are facing of the climate change and global warming, economic crisis, pandemic crisis, and pollution and environment at the global and also the regional perspective. But in Thailand, we have a strong point, especially how we can set our strong point to be a goal at opportunity of Thailand. And our position in the world, especially you can take a look here, is the first one is the hygienic kitchen of the world with our natural resources and biodiversity. And the second one is the high value added product, especially from the innovation and creativity. The third one is healthy people, especially using national herb and happy destination for tourism. And last but not least is the harmonious and sustainable society. For BCG driven organization, there are three levels of the committee. The first one is the BCG committee that shared by our Prime Minister. The second one is the driven committee shared by the Minister of Higher Education. And under that, also we have 11 subcommittee related to the BCG target. I myself also serve as chairman of a circular economy subcommittee. Here is just show you last 2 years ago, we set the assembly of BCG, especially for stakeholder consultation, how the country move forward in the sustainable manner. Next, I would like to talk about the circular economy. Our friend already talked, but I give you more, especially Thailand context. country will move from unstable linear economy to more sustainable circular economy with a transfer from make, dispose of linear economy to make use return of circular economy. The energy sources will also move from fossil-based to renewable source at the same time. This slide shows the development of circular economy approach from linear economy to recycle economy and then circular economy. Circular economy context in reduce environmental footprint, especially green product, minimizing of waste, reduce resource dependency, and generate increased income. Why we need circular economy? The country is facing the resource scarcity with the overconsumption, severity of pollution, emission of greenhouse gases. Circular economy will benefit and support SDG, as I already mentioned earlier, and also support the commitment from Paris Agreement, maximizing the resource efficiency and reduce pollution, as well as minimizing the environmental impact. This will also create a new economic opportunity of the country as well. The driving mechanism of circular economy in BCG model, we call 3 C's. Putting a C1 is the closing the loop with the goal of reduction 1/4 amount of current natural resources consumption. C2 is creating a new economic growth of about 1% GDP increasing within 10 years. And C3 is the combating climate change and pollution problem. The target sector that we are selected implement circular economy in Thailand are plastic waste, food waste and food loss from agriculture and food industry, and a construction sector that consume a lot of natural resources. For plastic waste, we are implementing the closed loop system that support the national roadmap of plastic waste management. The implement closely with all stakeholders. We set the milestone to recycle the plastic targets such as PET, PE, PP plastic at 100% by 2030. This will impact the reduction of energy consumption, resource consumption, greenhouse gas emission, pollution problem at the same time. Circular economy application already mentioned sub roadmap of plastic waste, and it associated with the other action plan, even also including the ASEAN roadmap on combating marine plastic debris. That is the national target of marine plastic debris reduction at least 50% by 2027 of single-use plastic, and replacing the environmental friendly product at the same time. And the second target is reducing the single-use plastic by applying circular economy principle at 100% by 2027. The circular economy big plan for the year 2027 under BCG already approved by the BCG committee, but right now on the process of submit cabinet for approval. The plan will implement by operation guideline covering investment opportunity, sharing a platform, mechanism and regulation, and also citizen, circular economy citizen and awareness raising as well. For the Big Rock project that going to by applying circular economy, plastic, food waste, food loss, and creative economy already mentioned earlier, and indicator that we can our success, including the reducing of national resource consumption, even create investment opportunity for the growth and employment of new economy and increasing GDP of the country. And the last one is reduce greenhouse gas emission at least 1 million ton carbon dioxide equivalent by 2027. Here just show you how we implement circular economy in the public-private engagement is very important for plastic, stand for plastic and waste management. This a forum initiated by the Federation of Thai Industry and Thailand Business Council for Sustainable Development in 2018. The component of PPP plastic include more than 40 organizations, associate organization, government sector, private sector, international organization, and educational institution. How we apply circular economy to the city model? There are three or more than three models. Give you some example of three models that we apply by PPP pass. First one is the Phong Thới model as the district in Bangkok Metropolitan Administration. Rayong model is applied for the whole province and the project. For Phong Thới, district model is the city and business model for waste management using circular economy and digital platform for different sub-model, including department store, hotel, hospital, and office building. The outcome of the first year project implementation from 7 participating building, we can decrease the waste allowed 21% and can recycle plastic more than 60%. This is the outcome. For the deploy project in Magic Handbone, we are also creating the collecting system of 12 film plastic. Currently, we can collect plastic waste as about 18,000 kilograms. The value of plastic is the 5 baht per kilogram that the amount will go to marine life conservation program. The slide show the process of circular economy business model in Rayong model. We call Rayong less waste model that implement for right now 40 city in the province. This is the pilot model that we wish to work with the government agency and local authority to transfer knowledge from Rayong to other province in the country as well. Circular economy in Rayong model, we set our target. The first one is the percentage of reduction of plastic waste to landfill. The second one is the number of municipality engagement with the project. But right now we can collect more than 300 tons of plastic waste for the unrecycled plastic. we have project we call Pacific Road project, also developing with the university right now on the process of the testing the environmental impact and the certification of relevant government agencies along with other uses such as artificial wood, bin, and so on. The driver mechanism of BCG circular economy in our country. First one is the co-benefit of key projects and develop pilot model such as plastic waste in the city model I mentioned earlier. Develop circular economy platform. I think it's also really important. Build up circular economy society and citizens. And last but not least, how we can create a circular economy market at the same time, actually promote the green public procurement. This is the conclusion that how we can go to the zero emission. That this is the conclusion.
Well, thank you so very much. I would like to again throw it open to the group for questions or comments for Dr. Witan. I should say you should feel free to write questions in Thai language if you wish.
I'm sorry, I want to ask something.
Please.
As you say that SDG had like 17 things in it, right? And we have to improve like all of it together, but I want to know your opinion, like which one that you think Thailand should be more focused on it in 17 things.
Okay, thank you very much for your question. I would like to maybe we can our country have to set priority some environmental problem. If we can tackle one issue, but we can get more benefit. For example, solid waste that Thailand facing for the solid waste management for quite long time. If we can manage waste, not just only solid waste, but wastewater at the same time, we can get benefit from the waste management. At the same time, waste produce greenhouse gas emission. We can reduce greenhouse gas emission at the same time. Garbage also the key issue, especially for the SDG 12 connect to SDG 13 climate action. SDG 13 will be a new challenge of our country because our commitment is the make a bit higher than before. I mentioned earlier NDC, National Determined Contribution, that we promised from Paris Agreement in 2015, but right now the number of 20 going up to 40 2 times. But how we can dealing with that the figure that's very important. Not just only a single factor, for example, energy, but the agricultural sector, forestry sector also have to work on this kind of issue as well. We have to rely our plan and also how we can move to that ambitious target and really challenge for our country.
ว่ามันมีต้นไม้สมมติเจอเสือเงี้ยมีต้นไม้กับมีหินอะไรแบบนี้มึงจะไปไหนเราก็กดเลือกเป็นเหมือนเกมเรากดเลือกปุ๊บมันก็จะไปนะ
Dr. Matthew, may I have one question for Dr. Vichan? Dr. Vichan, I have one question for Dr. Vichan. My name is Popadon from เกษตรศาสตร์ครับอาจารย์ครับ Dr. Vichan, I would like to ask you about the plastic waste management อาจารย์ครับ life below water under the SDG, I would like to explain to us, how to encourage the people, how to encourage the people to reduce the plastic, not throw the plastic to the ocean, so that our environment in coastal and marine will be fulfill or support with the life under the water for SDG. Dr. Vichan, please. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. Plastic waste is a major environmental issue for Thailand as well, because Thailand ranked number 6 of the world that the polluter contribute to the marine plastic debris. But Thailand produce plastic waste 2 million tons a year, but only 25% we can recycle. That's the problem. How about other 75%? The system in place, Dr. Lewis also mentioned about how we can create ecosystem for the waste separation. I think it's really important. We have to look for the 3R application as well: reduce, reuse, recycle. But how we can apply public awareness, very important on this kind of issue. At the same time, ecosystem. When we are going to separate the plastic, how people also are concerned about when the truck come to our home, they just pick up only one garbage bin and throw them together. For example, how system in Thailand can be set the good system that the people can get involved. That's very important. And the circular economy, just why for the circular economy program, we select plastic as a pilot issue that we are going to apply circular economy. If we can collect the plastic, clean plastic, that we can reduce the pollution, marine plastic debris at the same time. And also we can use the plastic waste as a raw material again and again. Just why circular economy is very important, but how? That's very important.
ขอบคุณครับอาจารย์ครับ Thank you very much. I learned a lot from you, Dr. Vichan. ขอบคุณครับ
Thank you.
Okay. Any other comments, questions? Well, I do want to thank the panelists and the speakers, and I also want to thank the participants. We're going to follow up. I'm going to do a winding up here just in a second, but I just want to alert the students that following the wrap up here, that we're going to talk about the next idea sharing contest, which is taking place the beginning part of next year. And so we want the students to stay on. But I do want to thank the speakers. I think the speakers have done a terrific job of explaining what we mean by the SDGs. What are the SDGs? Why are they significant?
and also to giving us an introduction to the biocircular green economy. As what we saw some lot of challenges were discussed, a lot of challenges were put before the group, but we also heard about different initiatives that are in place already and initiatives, action plans, goals that need to be implemented as soon as possible. So I think it's pretty clear that there are significant issues and plenty for the students to think about as they go forward in their idea sharing part of this contest, this forum. So anyway, I do want to end this part of the program, and then we'll stay on and talk with the students about the next phase, which is their interactive contest. So thank you so much for all the speakers, for your contributions, for your time. Thank you for staying with us into this evening. We appreciate your participation.
Thank you. Take care, everyone.
Yeah. So we're going to stay on and talk with the students. We're going to throw up on the screen some information about the rules, and then Assistant Professor Arachat Grase will talk to you about. The reality of life. Yeah. Okay. All right. So here's the nutshell on the screen is a web link for information about the contest. I'm getting feedback. All right. You can register here and submit a 7-minute video clip. That'll be in the it's on the website of IAD. We're also put it in the chat room here. Why am I getting feedback? Next slide. We're having some issues. One more. There we go. Okay, now. The idea sharing contest, the theme is to focus on what you can do to promote SDGs and or the BCG economy. And then you will group yourselves into teams between 2 and 5 students. So there'll be teams. The students can group yourselves in teams between 2 and 5 students. I think you're missing a slide. Let me go back. Yeah, there we go. There we go. All right. So 2 to 5 students. You can register, and then you submit first a video clip of your presentation. In English, by the way, the program this initiative is done in English. The submission deadline for the 7-minute video clip, the introduction, the promotional clip that you're doing, is on January 9. Then we will announce IAD will announce, not me, IAD will announce by Monday, 17 January, who the finalists are, who the groups are that'll go forward in the actual competition. And then the competition will take place on January 26th. So the dates are there and the QR code is there for registering and getting more information. Okay, next slide. All right. So here's the good news that people who do well will get recognition plus a little bit of money. And the best teams, first runner-up, so 2 teams, 2 best teams, and also the most creative, which is based on the judges that will be participating and watching this. We'll judge the creativity, and then best English, the language skills, and then just the reaction from the team, reaction from the audience. So invite all your friends and relatives to sit in the audience so they can vote for you. All right. And so information is there. Enough? Okay. Professor, I'll stop talking.
Okay. You hear me, right? Okay. I would like to add up about the competition because what you hearing from today is about technical and it's I think it's very useful for you to start about the idea of your video. But to add up about this presentation, I would like to give you a brief about the about how the presentation should be worked, right? Because do you see the presentation? Not yet. Sorry, that's a technical glitch for that. Sharing. Okay. So, if you have 7 minutes to save the world, what should you do? Okay. About the 7 minutes to save the world, you hear a lot of effort and the the way the people doing and the SDG 7. There are 7 things that we need to do to save the world, right? And you start thinking like when you have the environmental concern, but through the video, it's about how you explain the idea to the others. So we're talking about the 7 minutes that you need to explain about your idea to the judge. And why 7 minutes? Because the 7 minutes prove that it's the time that people, if it's less than 7 minutes, people will not understand what you say. They'll not get it all. And if more than 7 minutes, it's too much for the people to, to get concentration. Yeah. And on the other hand, it's an idea length. It's proven to be the 7 minutes. So make it or break it, just 7 minutes, and you got the prize to winning at it. Yeah. It's a temptation, right? It's a tips for your 7 minutes presentations. First, before you start, prepare. Plan out what to present, break down into first, last minutes, and everything in between, and the rule of 3, which is very, you know it already, right? To start, rule of 3, the beginning, the middle, and the end. The beginning is the idea to gain attention, and the end is about conclusions and great grand finale. Second, get the attention in the first minute. You doing something, bang your audience or the judge or everyone to listen, watch your videos and listen to what you want to present. Do not start with the main point. Get the attention first, and then the second minutes you try to selling. Bring them into the main point. Make it as a statement to the presentations. Yeah, you need to script what you want to talk. The 3rd minute to 6 minutes, it's about the information that you want to present to support your statements. It's a fact, stats, or codes, or anything that to prove that your statement is going to be the right one, right idea to the how to save the world. And the last minute is about summarize. Summarize your idea. Bring down all the key points that you want to take them, and do not just put it. Leave all these things to take home idea. You leave some questions for the audience to think more when the presentation ends. And rule of 3 again, the audience will remember 3 messages in each slide. So you see that I try to put all these 3 points. Well, I'm sorry, I kind of rushed because I know this time is almost over. But you see that every slide I put just only like 3 points, and you will make a quick look and get it. In the time that I just speak about the things in the presentations. And the last one, less is more. It means try to make the presentation as less as possible. Use pictures, visuals, or small text. No more than 3 bullets per slide. Short keywords, phrases, and sentences. It takes 7 minutes. It takes 7 hours to prepare a 7 minutes presentation. I'm sorry, I kind of nervous. Yeah, you need to prepare, right? And also rehearse. Make the best out of you, right? And thank you. And I hope the students that would like to join the presentations, you have fun. And I hope you guys, like some of you, one of you will win the contest, and some of you will get the rewards, right? But more than that, everything else you will learn about the sustainability, about the SDG or BCG, while you preparing all the presentations. And I do hope that everyone will have an idea and make an action to the SDG. Thank you. Okay.
Well, thank you so very much. By the way, we just got some very interesting news. We have a little thing to show you as our wrap up, and that is that Kasetsat University has just been named #1 in Thailand for Green Campus, and this is a world status. It has been announced that in Thailand, Kasetsat is #1 as a green university in Thailand, and it is within the top 50 university campuses in the world. I think, though, that's an incredible statement and very impressive. So obviously, this is a status that is important to improve on, but also to maintain as we go forward into the future. Okay, so I'm about to say good evening. One more bit of news. One more bit of news is that evaluation forms will be sent to you. The IAD would like you to do an evaluation of this event, and so they will be sent to you by email. Okay, so here's the little announcement we just got, which is, I think, terrific news. There's a world ranking of 2021, #1 in Thailand and 50 within the world. Within the world, we're 45. Kasset is 45 in the world in the top 50. That's very, 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 very impressive. Okay, any last questions? Obviously, you can write questions. Yes, questions can be sent to by email. They can be written in Thai. They don't have to be written in English. And the evaluation forms, which I already announced, will be sent to you. You can fill in and send back to us. Is there a QR code for those evaluation forms? Sent by email. The evaluation forms will be sent to you by email. Any last questions? Okay, and hearing none, then I will say good night. Thank you so very much for your participation. I look forward to seeing you all in January for the idea sharing contest. Good luck with that as well. Thank you. Good night.